Hello, this is Joe Sonona from Sonona Speaks Seminars, and this is Coffee Talk. Look at my new mug here. And this week is my guest, Nick Littlefield from the Stone Edge team in South Carolina. How are you, Nick?
I'm doing great, Joe. Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell everyone back who's watching this at home. Tell me, who's Nick Littlefield?
So I never really thought I'd be in sales or anything, real estate related. I've always been in management positions, and I kind of watched some of the sales guys make more than the CEOs, and started thinking, maybe there's a different way to do some stuff. So I was full time working 50 hours a week. Dove in, started getting my license. I'm kind of an all or nothing type person, so it took me about a year and a half, and I just dove in full time whenever I finally saved up the money and got my license and everything. This is now my third year. I got my license in 2017, late 2017, and I started full time January 29th, 2018. So I
What did
always
you do
remember.
before real estate?
So I got into advanced auto. I always liked cars. Got into management there. From management, there I actually got into the forklift industry and ran a parts department, and then was over the shop for a little bit, and then back to the parts department. One of those things that I was good at, but kind of woke up one day and was like, I don't really like this. I was just something I was good at. And I just kind of leaned into, and started thinking, I got good at forklift stuff, but it had no practical application to life. So it was like, what is something that'll have a benefit in life one way or another? And what will actually have more meaning and help people and stuff like that. So real estate, I don't know where it actually popped into my head, but one day it was just there, and the more I looked into it, the better it looked. So I just kind of leaned into it and used that for motivation whenever I was having a bad day at my salary job.
And so you dove into real estate full time,
Full time.
and you formed a team, and
Yes.
you're out there and you're selling a Stone Edge. Why
Yes.
Stone Edge?
So Stone's Edge team, I mean, I'll be honest, one of the main motivations, I wanted something that had a domain that, that it wasn't duplicating somebody else. I wanted something unique, and our office was just off of Stone Avenue. And it just kind of all came together. We were just spitting some names out, and we just kind of leaned into that. The domain was open, and, we just kind of went with it after that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell me, what I always ask my guests on this show is, especially these are listing pros in real estate. What is your secret sauce to listing homes?
So I started at a luxury brokerage, and they even warned me. They're like, we don't do training, we don't do this, and I'm like, that's okay. They told me that they only had like 30 agents at the time, and they're like, anytime you need our broker, you can sit down with him. Just know, other than that, you're going to be pretty much on your own. And I was fine with that. So I guess because I was born at the luxury brokerage, I just got a standard that I try to keep. We use luxury signposts. We don't use the standard signs. Anytime we're printing paper, it's always the premium stock. Just the little things that goes a long way with the luxury touch. I brought that into everyday prices. I saw that there's people out there doing discount brokerages, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got their thing, and I was like, okay, these people can afford to take a discount and do volume. What if you do volume and you provide more? And so we started doing video for everyday price points. $150,000 house, I'm spending $350 on a nice video, drone shots, professional pictures. I actually owned more open house signs in my last brokerage. My highest count of open house signs was about 90. So that was, some of them were Saturday, some of them were Sunday. So we had about 45 each. So we do an open house, and we're putting up 25, 30 signs. If the opportunity's there, we might even put up all of them. And then on top of that, we put those out on Friday. We go back, we buy as many balloons as we can squeeze into the little tiny car, and we put the balloons on the signs. And then we had our whole team show up at an open house. So we clearly were different than everybody else, and that was the thing. Is I always knew I wasn't salesy, and I was going to be different. So We just kind of showed it with our work and just staying consistent and all that. It's taken a little bit of time, but you'd be surprised. People are watching sometimes even early on when you're not expecting it.
So staying consistent and doing things that are different, you could equate that to your secret sauce.
Yeah, and then the key is figuring out why you're different, and then figuring out how to say that. That's been what I've been working on lately. Is people seeing we're different from the beginning, and you it might take might not be that type of person that can always identify those little things, but start asking your past clients, your friends, tell them to describe you, and one of the biggest things I kept getting from people was authentic. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I am me. If people don't like me, it's not a big deal. It's not hurt my feelings. We just go on about our business. I'm not the right agent for them, and I think people get to know me, and I've got everybody's got. You don't have multiple personalities, but you can relate to different people, and just because of my life, I can relate to so many people, and I can relate to vast different types of people and be authentic, being relating to them at the same time. So I guess that's one of the things that kind of helps.
Yeah, that is you. That you're a very authentic person. I mean, I know you as very well as authentic, and you always speak your mind. You anything that comes, it's there, and I like that because it is real, and a lot of people appreciate real. So I'll add that part of your secret sauce as well. So what kind of, I know you touched upon this a little bit with drones, but do you use any other marketing or any other technology to enhance your business?
Everything, anything you can think of. Even before COVID, I bought a $100, or it might have been $200, 360 camera. There's everybody out there with this expensive Matterport software, and don't get me wrong, Matterport's awesome, but I didn't have the money for Matterport, and that wasn't going to stop me. So they've got these little sport cameras that are made to go around, and they're really made for the outdoors. So the lighting's not perfect with them. You got to play around with it, but you can do a 360 walkthrough. You can do 360 pictures, and there's sites online where you can just make links, send it to people. Facebook actually is built to handle the 360 stuff. Instagram isn't, but if you load it on Facebook, they get the full 360 shot, can look around, video, and everything. So I was testing that, like I said, before COVID. Of course, people kind of leaning into that now. Like I said, we were early on video and all price points. Even like borderline, getting into luxury price points here. People weren't doing video a few years ago. Now it's pretty much the standard in that $500,000 and up price point here. But like I said, I'm still doing it at $150,000, $200,000 houses. So eventually you'll see that be the standard around here. And hopefully I contribute to that.
Do you think there's something on the rise that, let's say, is being used now that will become the next norm, the next new thing, so to speak?
I mean, I'd say we're probably looking at all kinds of things like that. And I think that's the thing to keep in mind is we got to always be changing and be testing stuff and don't get in the comfort zones. I think I was pretty early on testing a lot of this stuff, and I haven't really been pushing anything new because, all this stuff now coming into play. So, just kind of like what you're saying, like I think I need to be looking at new stuff again, even though like I feel like we're going to be, all the stuff that we got now is only going to get better for a little bit. We're probably not looking at anything monstrous changing the industry. We need to be testing all the way along just in case. Kind of like Gary Vee does with social media. He gets on any social media platform and just starts a little bit just to see where, if it takes off, that way he's already got a foot in the ground.
What about, your presence on social media is excellent, and you have definitely put out a lot of good posts with Instagram. And do you post on Facebook a lot too?
So we got a good following on Facebook early, and I'll be honest, I've not been as lucky with Facebook. I just don't get the engagements and all that. So I've got it set to where everything shares to Facebook. But I think you need to be doing it on Facebook because the dimensions are a little different and all that. So everything shares from Instagram, but I'm just not getting the traffic that I get on Instagram. So I really went heavy on Instagram. I'm missing the LinkedIn bus right now. I really wish I was on that, but I'm kind of okay with it. I'm not long term, but short term, I know I would rather do Instagram to the best of my ability and try to let that trickle over to Facebook and get a little bit from it than to try to over leverage myself and only do one of them, each of them halfway, So like I said, I think I'll do okay right now, just going all in on Instagram. And as soon as I can afford a virtual assistant or somebody else to help, get them to start sharing all this stuff to Facebook, helping a little bit more and expand out to these other platforms, because there's definitely stuff I'm leaving on the table.
So that's pretty interesting. So when you list a home and you put it on Instagram, do you boost your ads? And do you find that by boosting them, if you do, or if you don't, but do you find your postings have been bringing in a lot of traction for your listings?
Yeah, and I think the goal with ads is to get to those views eventually where you can get them organically. When I first started, I'd put a video out there, and just a really good video, and just because I didn't have enough followers, it might only get 45 views or something like that and kind of stop. Now my organic view, I think if I put a video on Facebook, even not having as many followers as I do on Facebook, I think I still get about 1,000 people in 24 hours.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so it's finally gotten there. But yeah, now that was the key, I think, is every time I put a video on Facebook, I boosted it. I mean, even if it was only a few bucks, I would put a little bit behind it, because you might only get 100 views without it, and you put $5 behind it or whatever you got, and so you double it. Eventually, you're going to start getting that organically, and I think that's the big goal with it. But I will say, as much as I kind of missing the boat with Facebook, I always run ads on Facebook.
Do you have organic? Do you have a lot? How do you get more organic views, and that drives more traffic to your listing?
I think that's where the consistency comes in. Like we were talking earlier, I've been going crazy on my Instagram stories and posts, and just trying to be super consistent. I'll do it for a week, and I'll see my views start going up, and then I'll miss it for 2 days, and it's like you have to start all over. So I'm going all in. I don't care if it's Sunday. I'm going to have a post every day. I'm going to have at least 5 or 6 stories every day.
Yeah.
And I think that's really driving the organic traffic, because you keep repeating your message. You keep getting out there in front of people. And Instagram's just got this, you can just see it. You start getting these followers, and it might be 1 a week, and then it's 2 a week. Right. And the next thing you know, 1 a day, 2 a day, 3 a day. So I really think the consistency thing there pays off.
So I'm pretend I'm a new agent, and I'm looking at Nick Littlefield's posts, and I'm saying, wow, this guy's killing it in the listing end of it, and I want to be just like Nick. What is your best advice for a new person coming into real estate who wants to be a lister?
So I would say you definitely want to make it known and put your plans around being a listing agent, but you got to do the same work no matter what. And if it takes working with buyers, early on to really get your name out there, do whatever it takes to get it. So I'd say don't put yourself too much in a box, but at the same time, always know where that goal is. I'd probably surprise a few people. I would say not to start with social unless you just think you're an exception. Most people don't know who they are as far as their message, their branding, and all that. And I can say I definitely didn't early on. You got to learn who you are in the industry. And, maybe if you come from the mortgage world or something similar, maybe you already know that. I didn't know that. The only thing I really knew is that I wanted to be different, that I wasn't salesy. I wanted to be customer service based. And don't get me wrong, maybe if I said that out loud at the beginning, I would have had a clearer message. But I think that's the key, is you don't go crazy on social until you really know you've got a message. Because I spent a lot of time during the day doing this stuff. And yeah, it might only take 10 minutes for that post, but it's what about the 10 minutes thinking for it,
Correct.
The 5 minutes editing it, it adds up, and your time can be spent in better places. I would say go with the Ricky Cruz style. Either you do phone calls or you do what I did. You spend $300 and you get 30 open house signs, and you do an open house every Saturday and Sunday, and you sit there. Don't do an open house for 2 hours. Do it 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever your clients are okay with, and do it every weekend. And it's sweat equity. If you're not willing to put in the sweat equity, either phone calls, open houses, door knocking, You can do, handwriting
Well, a
mailers.
lot of agents don't want to put that sweat equity in there at the beginning because a lot of them have been told or they see us on social media and we make it look like we're just coasting and cleaning up and they want to be just like us, but they don't realize that it takes a lot of that sweat equity. I mean, that's how I started, I think, my career in open houses. And I was bored. Let me tell you, 1989 to 1993. I mean, it was like very, very tiresome to do an open house when nobody was coming and it was a true buyer's market. And the buyers didn't even know they even had the upper hand. Same goes for 2008 and to 2012. They didn't know they had the upper hand.
Yep.
And crazy stuff. So for a new agent coming into the business, would you recommend open houses, cold calling? Do you have door to door where you are? Do you go door
We
to
used to
door?
do door to door. I've never really done that. And I think that goes back to I don't like being salesy. And that's just me. There's people out there that do phone calls and kill it. Ricky definitely kills the phone calls. I like the open house aspect because people are coming to me. So it
Yeah.
makes me feel like I'm doing more of a service than trying to sell. And like I said, that's just my mentality. That's not for everybody.
Well, how do
But
you
I will.
generate your leads? Then how do you generate your leads?
It's evolved. I mean, it's never been the same thing. It was very big in referrals when I was an early agent because
Mhm.
I think I worked at that luxury brokerage and
Right.
people saw how hard I was working and they might have had some higher price points. So they're like, hey, if I'm going to give it to anybody, I'm going to give it to him because how hard he's working. And I literally probably started my business off of other agents giving me deals.
Mm.
But that switched into when we had the team. That switched into open houses. That was probably our heaviest. When COVID hit, we kind of stopped the open houses, and I've kind of went all in on social media. I ran some ads for a few months. You saw the video I did with Lake Lanier.
Yeah, that
Um,
was good. That was very good.
yeah, and it got a ton of views. And Lake Lanier, for the first time, I think the inventory normally takes about 3 years to turn there. For the first time, I think almost all the houses that are there, half of them are pending. So
I didn't even know where Lake Lanier was until
most of the people
I
that live
met
here don't know
you.
where it is. It's a little private lake, so it's funny. Like
Yeah,
I hope the homeowners
beautiful.
around there like me because
Don't know of any of these hidden little towns. Oh, what's going on here? Maybe I don't know. So I don't know of any of these little hidden towns. I don't know of any of these little places where you are, and um, and then and then when I discover them through your social media, I go, wow, these areas are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So
yeah.
thanks for bringing that out and showing off or showcasing. Now, there's a secret. I don't know if you want to talk about it yet. I think you've announced it already about your expansion into
Yeah.
where?
So, I was talking about Lake Lanier. So, funny enough, Tryon, North Carolina, and a lot of people know about that because the World Equestrian Games were there a couple years ago. It's
Right.
literally right around the corner. And it's funny, this lake ends and Tryon's like, 12 feet over here. And I can't go sell a house because it's North Carolina. So, I've got my North Carolina license now. Well, sorry, I should have it any day. I'm waiting on my
Okay, you're
background check to
getting
be
it.
official,
Yep.
and I should have that. And then I've just got to take my 90 hours post class. So, that'll be fun. Um,
Well, at
but
airtime, you probably will have completed it.
probably, yeah, hopefully, yeah. So I've got my North Carolina license. So we're basically that is for the Western North Carolina mountains. Um, our area, we're lucky enough to have lakes and mountains all around. So we've got a lot of people that live in town. Their first home's in Greenville or Spartanburg, and then they might have a lake or mountain homes just outside of
Right.
Greenville or Spartanburg in the North Carolina or South Carolina mountains. So this really makes it to where I can help anybody in our area. They got one agent to help them anywhere they go. And then the bigger thing is we're going to actually try to make another little branch in Asheville, North Carolina.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a cool spot. It's definitely it's a little different than Greenville, but it's fun. I love going up there. And my lender partner just switched with a new company, and this new company is getting behind me. They're going to help me basically build a team up there and expand our team down here. So
That is awesome. I wish you
yeah,
a lot of luck with that. That's great.
thanks.
And like I said, I don't know any of these areas very much, and that there is a sort of an exodus out of New York. state. So when this program airs, I encourage people to come down and see you, and I will certainly refer all my people to you when that, as it's happening, because we do have a referral network, you and I. So tell me, what is the advice you would give to an older person in real estate, just by being in real estate and observing all the other people around you?
So I'd say I know there's probably some veterans that are a little threatened by some of the newer guys and gals in real estate, and I think what you've got to know about those that are making a dent is they're just not afraid to try. That's what people have always said about me. I get a plan, and at first it might have taken me 5 years to get it going. Now I get a plan, and it's within a couple months or a couple years, and I'm going on it. So figure out what your plan is. Just don't be afraid to try something, whether it's video, whatever might be your thing. Figure out your thing and be off, like we were talking about, be authentic. Don't try to copy
Correct.
somebody, find it and figure out how to make it yours. Don't try to go out there and be somebody else. Figure out what makes you you, and that's what people are going to love.
That's awesome. That's great advice. And I've stayed authentic and try to stay authentic. But you, my friend, have inspired me this year to redesign my logo, do more social media, do more postings on Instagram, truly just from where you have taken your business. And I thank you personally, professionally, and publicly now.
That's awesome. I appreciate that.
And so the last question I have is, in the characteristics of law of agency, old car, I asked all my guests this. When we apply those principles to listings of old car: obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, reasonable care, which one would Nick Littlefield pick? I know they're all important, but which one would you pick and why?
I would say disclosure, because disclosure is always great. A lot of people are a little timid to tell their divorce. Anything that might be the
Right.
reason, let them know, and that way they are not surprised by the nosy neighbor coming in and asking questions. Because if you can be prepared for that reaction. But if all of a sudden they're hearing something for the first time, it's yeah. So disclosure is my favorite, because that's the thing. Whatever you tell your agent, they're sworn to secrecy. I mean, you tell them not to say anything, they're not going to say anything. That's how we get our license. We know not to cross that line. So just go ahead and tell them, and you're better off having them on your side, knowing whatever it is.
Correct. Well, that's awesome, because I knew that was going to be your answer. I just knew it. I said disclosure. Of course, it's disclosure. I had a toss between disclosure and loyalty there. I thought you were going to pick loyalty. It's funny, but it's funny when you have a guest on the show. You in your head, their personality. They're going to pick. You just threw me right off with disclosure. Well, I want to thank you very, very much for being on my show, and keep up the good work, my friend. I think you're going to kill it this year into next year. I think the expansion is wonderful into North Carolina, and I think that the Carolinas are very fortunate to have you as a real estate agent, a true professional in your industry, and also a true leader. I want to further embarrass you by saying that, or compliment you by saying that, because you've given a lot of people a good inspiration, especially this real estate agent as well. So I want to thank you for being on my show this week.
Thank you so much, Joe. That means a lot, man.
You're welcome. This is Joe Sonona with Sonona Speaks Seminars, Coffee Talk with the Listing Pros in Real Estate. And my guest this week has been Nick Littlefield of the Stone Edge team of South Carolina, and the Stone Edge team soon to be of North Carolina. So thank you again for being on the show, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Joe.